In this video, we're going to be breaking down Aroldis Chapman's 100-mile-per-hour mechanics. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Max Wardell, overheadathletics.com. Let's get into this mechanical breakdown here. We've got two different videos that we're going to utilize to break down Aroldis Chapman's mechanics, just because these ones are easy to find and they're relatively high quality. When we're looking at mechanics, we always have to consider the angle that the video is at. And one camera angle that we commonly see in MLB baseball is from the home plate perspective, but it's not exactly. It's more so offset to the throwing side, like this video here, and it's a little bit higher up. So what you see here is that as a left-handed pitcher, you're going to have more of the right-handed over the right-handed batter's box perspective. But let's take a look at some things that Aroldis Chapman does nicely. First of all, you see that he always loads this back hip well. So he gets into that back hip, and that is a little bit of a flexion where he's hinged forward and a little internal rotation on that back hip, as well as a little bit of hiking or lifting of the front side pelvis. If the front side of your pelvis drops, you're going to lose velocity because you can't maintain what we call co-contraction or stability through the back hip musculature. Then you'll also notice how this ball actually gets pretty far behind his body. He gets into a ton of retraction. Now that retraction there isn't something we typically advise for a lot of our athletes because they don't have the requisite shoulder flexibility to be able to get in that position. But also, if you take a look at Aroldis Chapman's throw here, you can see his full numbers from this perspective. His back is turned to you. He rotates very far away from the target through his drive leg hip and through his spine, which allow him to get his arm further backwards behind his body that way. So don't always think about how far back the ball gets, but actually more so how far you can rotate closed. Most importantly, you'll notice that he starts to get the ball in close to his center of rotation. Elbow is bent, the ball's in, and it's almost behind his head as he rotates. Before he starts opening the target, that ball is in, and then he comes through. Chest is forward at the end. Very nice sequencing. Let's take a look at it now from another perspective. This other perspective here, we're looking at his throw now from the lateral view, and this is when he's with the Reds. You can now notice how far into that hip he rotates. So he's way internally rotated on that hip. That front side of the pelvis is lifted. He's turned away from the target, and now as he starts to come through, you're going to notice that he pulls that ball up and in. So he gets the ball inside of 90 degrees of flexion at the elbow, which is a key for elbow stability, but also it's something that allows you to rotate faster. So he brings the ball in, and then he maximizes his distance because he has great flexibility. Something we encourage all of our athletes to do is work on their flexibility, and then look at how far forward he gets his chest. He releases that ball out in front of his front foot. If you could get that late launch 6-8 inches in front of your front toe, depending on your height, that would be exceptional. He locks that pelvis, really good stability through that side. So excellent mechanics, and something that's individual to him. If you're somebody that's more stiff, don't have as good of pliability in your tissues, and you're not as flexible, you're not going to get into the same mechanical sequence as Aroldis Chapman does. You may not have the ability to extend your spine like he does here. It's all about how much flexibility you have and then how much stability you have through your full excursion or your full range of motion. And Aroldis Chapman has a lot of strength and flexibility. And then once again, check out this deceleration arc. The arm is pretty straight as he comes through, slight bend, and then he decelerates that arm by rotating and moving through his body. But his pelvis, if you look, his pelvis stops. It's stationary at the end. Bam, pelvis locks and stops there. Chest continues to rotate through. Very efficient deceleration mechanics from Aroldis Chapman. One of the many things that allows him to throw at such a high velocity, and one of the things that you can do or you can train to get your performance up as well. And that's why we're including so many different videos. We're going to do some on rotational power training and a bunch of different stuff like that. So if you guys aren't subbed to the channel yet, make sure to hit that bell for notifications after you hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next one.